Good evening, everybody. Till the previous video, we covered up to fundamental rights, which are contained in chapter 3 of the Constitution. Today, we shall study the chapter 4, which contains Directive Principles of State Policy. It is from Article 36 to 50. And 51 is Fundamental Duties of Citizens. These directive principles of state policy do not have the force of law. They are only the ideals which the government should keep in mind while formulating laws for the country. As such, it will not be necessary on my part to dilate, discuss or criticize much on these directive principles. We will only know what are the directive principles and how far they have reflected in Indian administration is up to the listener to decide. You know, I have started this video series to bring to the notice of the listeners the conflicting constitutional issues to their notice. I felt it necessary because I found that whatever is happening in India in the name of the Constitution on social, political and economic fronts is not in accordance with what is stated in the Constitution. Rather, it is diametrically opposed to what has been stated in the Constitution. That is the reason for all the social, political, economic, geographical conflicts, utter poverty, divide between haves and have-nots, and all the social ills that we are facing today is because of not following the Constitution. Because Indian Constitution is not only the largest written constitution in the world, but it is also the best constitution in the world. There is nothing which is not contained in Indian Constitution. But the only flaw with it appears to me is that it is too bulky, too large. I said it is the largest written constitution. I think that is the only problem with this constitution. Nobody knows what is where in the constitution. Lawyers look for points to win cases for their clients. Judges will resolve the disputes having regard to the arguments put forth by both sides of the counsels. As such, it is not the duty of anybody to explore what is stated in the Constitution because it is not easy to do that. It is a very big legal enactment. We will only enlist the important among the directive principles of state policy. Especially these directive principles of state policy are ideals directed to advise the governments to achieve equality of status, opportunity and equality before law, equal pay for equal work, gender equality, especially care of the children, their education, their health, and care of the women, health of the mother and child, maternity leaves, etc. Providing of just and human conditions for men and women working in various workplaces, equal pay for equal work. But the controversial content of this chapter is about Uniform Civil Code. It is contained in Article 44. It states that the state shall endeavor to secure for the citizens a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. What does it mean? Why it is delayed? The constitution has come into existence 75 years ago. Yet, the governments were not able to implement or to discharge this ideal of the constitution, that is Uniform Civil Code. We know at present Christians are governed by Special Marriages Act. Muslims have their own personal law. Hindus, of course, are governed by Hindu laws regarding marriage, divorce, maintenance, etc. There is resistance to introduce common civil code by the minorities. However, in my opinion, it is necessary. Above all, we are first Indians, then Christians, Muslims, or Hindus. The cherished ideal of the constitution is equality. Without there being equality of rights and responsibilities and obligations, there cannot be equality. Equality is not an imaginary condition. It has to be practical. In view that Uniform Civil Code is a necessity, but people are seeing it as a political move of the BJP. And another Article 50 from this chapter is about the independence of judiciary. This Article 50 suggested that the government shall separate the judiciary from executive in public service. Please observe the wording carefully. Government has to separate the judiciary from executive in public service. Executive in public service constitutes all the civil servants of the government. Judiciary should be separated from this government employees. It's a very good ideal. It only advised the government to separate. It did not use the word independence. What is independence of judiciary? From whom they will be independent? Independent from the parliament, the president, or independent from India? They have to be independent of their narrow considerations. They have to be free from corruption, nepotism, favoritism. But separation of judiciary from executive and public service does not mean that the judiciary shall be independent of the parliament and the president. Though I use the word parliament and the president, in fact, the term parliament encompasses the president too, in view of Article 79. If anybody says that I am not answerable to the parliament and the president, it means that I am not answerable to people of India or the Indian nation. Unfortunately, Honorable Supreme Court quoted this Article 50 while deriving judgment in Advocates on Record of Supreme Court versus Union of India, in which the Honorable Court established the collegium system to be independent, disregarding Article 124. Yet again, another article of this chapter, which is 46. It says that the state shall promote the educational and economic interest of the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other weaker sections of the society. This goes without saying, in fact. Whereas, unfortunately, this was used as a fast political tool in independent India. Dr. Ambedkar started his political party in the name of Scheduled Caste Federation of India in 1951 under the Representation of the People Act 1951 and contested the first general elections of 1952 throughout the country. His party, Scheduled Caste Federation of India, got just 2.38% of polled and valid votes, and he himself lost. The reason for such a political debacle was that when Ambedkar named his political party after scheduled castes, Nehru was a shrewd politician. He is not academician. Immediately, he introduced the first amendment to the Constitution in 1951, by which he used this Article 46. First Amendment reads that the government shall not be prevented from making any arrangements for the for the advancement of interests of educationally backward classes, economically backward classes, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. This description covered about 90% of Indian population of those days. Whereas the narration of Dr. Ambedkar's political party, Scheduled Caste Federation of India, covered hardly 10 to 15% of the population, whereby Jawaharlal Nehru was eulogized as the most democrat, champion of equality, and the whole society went. Of course, even then, Congress party gained only just 45% of the polled and valid votes. With 45% of polled and valid votes, Congress party got about 75% of the parliament seats in 1952. Thus, even the first government of independent India was not supported by people more than 50%. Congress party got just 45%, but it got 75% of the parliament seats. Supposing all the oppositions were combined together, probably they would have come to power. That was what has happened in 1977 through a 13-party coalition called Janata Government. And again, had Dr. Ambedkar not named his political party as Scheduled Caste Federation of India, had he named his party as Republic Party of India, which he did in October 1956, that party could have been alive and Dr. Ambedkar's impact on politics would have been everlasting. That was a disaster in Indian politics. Again, there are also fundamental duties of citizens. These are the ideals of being a good citizen in accordance with the Constitution and the law. Except this, I do not think there is much to dilate on directive principles of state policy and fundamental duties of citizens. Thank you. Thank you for watching my videos. I request you to please subscribe, share and comment on my videos, and I would be thankful to you. I would be glad to reply to your worthy comments. I have started this mission to bring almost all the constitutional articles to the notice of the listeners and point out wherever the country went wrong. Thank you. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you.